I would really love to welcome Ayana Young to the conference. And
Thank you so much, Susie.
we've heard all sorts of different things during the day that have referred to ways and methods of contributing towards reforestation and regeneration. Ayana, do you think you could explain a little bit about what you've been doing with the Million Redwoods Project?
It would be my honor, as I'm surrounded by the redwoods right now under a redwood canopy, and also by this redwood behind me right here. So I'm in good company to talk about them. So the need for the Redwoods Project really came from this understanding that we have lost so many redwoods, this really prolific, magnificent species, and I'm sure some of you are familiar with. They are the tallest tree in the world. They sequester the most carbon of any tree in the world as well, and they're just incredible beings, and they're really under threat, and they have been for the past couple hundred years with industrial logging. And as we stand right now, we have less than 4% of all old growth left in the region and the globe, and only 2.5% is protected. And the majority of the other land that redwoods typically grow in is really struggling right now because of logging and land use change, resource extraction, climate change, lack of fog, and the list goes on, lack of salmon. And so the need for the 1 Million Redwoods Project arose because I knew that this incredible species and the community of species that grow in this forest needed support in terms of protecting space for them to evolve within climate change, and also knowing that so much has just been destroyed. And so the project really came into this perhaps simple thought of, how do we grow the children and the grandchildren of these incredible ancestor trees? And where that's really led us to is this understanding that there is an incredible seed shortage of redwood seed and all of the understory plants that grow along with redwoods, as well as the fungal allies that grow under the ground and on logs. And so that really led us to understand that as much as it is for us about planting trees, in a sense, it's actually more about collecting the seeds and creating libraries, community libraries, where more and more people can get involved with reforestation and actually have a seed library to come to be able to propagate these plants. Because, for instance, in California, we are definitely challenged by, like I said, land use change, but also wildfire. And if you can imagine, if we don't have the seed stock to replant these forests, then we're really at a major detriment. And it's really exciting to be working with seeds, because a lot of what I've found in major large-scale reforestation projects is the amount of resources that it takes to actually do large-scale reforestation. And you can just imagine, not only are you collecting the seed, but you're having to get plastic pots that don't last forever. Even the most expensive pots, the UV resistance pots that we can get in the United States, not only are they really expensive, their lifespan is only somewhere between 5 and 7 years. So if you want to grow millions of trees, you're having to get millions of new plastic pots every 5 to 7 years at the most to be able to plant these trees out. Then a lot of nurseries, commercial nurseries, use perlite and coconut coir. Again, this is mined from places. This is imported from the tropics all the way up to the temperate rainforest. Then there's the issues with irrigation and all the pipes that come along with that. And we're in a drought right now. So to think about taking water from the ground that the plants who are actually rooted need just to be watering into pots that evaporate really quickly, all of these details kind of took me back, and I really had to reconfigure what the Redwoods Project was about, because as much as I am so passionate about reforestation, which I am, I knew that I didn't want to do it in this highly extractive, resource-dependent way. And so another reason why focusing on seed makes so much sense, that is how nature does it. Nature does it through seed. That's how, and of course also through sprouting on off of different stumps and whatnot. But it's it's something that's been in our blood as human beings for potentially millions of years, being able to work with seed and to support biodiversity and tending of the wild in that way. And I'm so excited. It's such a beautiful focus for us. And then the other part of the 1 Million Redwoods Project is really looking at how we're going to be planting the seeds in a biomimetic way. And what I mean by biomimetic is looking to nature and really thinking, well, what is the process that nature goes through when reforesting a clear cut or when reforesting a area that's been grazed by cattle? And usually it's not the redwood that pops up first. The redwood, the cedar, these trees are late successional trees. They come up after the first pioneer plants come, after the soil has been prepared for years for them, after the fungi have really put their mycelial webs through the soil. So we've come up with these biodiversity enhancement test plots in the redwood region and beyond in the temperate rainforest. And we're really looking at how do we support the damaged land where it's at that point? And then how do we successionally build up the forest community and not just come in with our human supremacist timescales and really say, well, we want a redwood forest next year. That's not really the way the forest works. And I really believe that we need to be doing reforestation urgently, but also with the concept of deep time so that we're doing it with integrity and we're looking at the long haul. We're not just trying to get quick results in our lifetimes, because what we've seen with that kind of mentality is plantation forest. And that is absolutely not what we're trying to do with the 1 Million Redwoods Project. So it's been an incredible learning experience to understand what the limits are and how we can expand and what are the ways that we can best support the forest with as much integrity as we can.
And what brought you to it? How did you get to being in this situation?
Well, I really believe that I was chosen for this work, and simultaneously I said yes. I wasn't somebody who grew up in the forest. I grew up in a very southern beachy town, a lot of concrete, a lot of strip malls, not so much forest, maybe a palm tree here and there. But at some point, fate would have it that I moved to the forest in Oregon, and I was really enraptured and intrigued by the forest, but I didn't have a relationship. I just had this intrigue. And the more and more time that I spent with the forest, and I was able to build a relationship, just like how you build a relationship with a friend, with a lover, with a family member. I kept spending time. I kept observing what they may need, what threats they're facing, how they're faring through climate change, what human dimensions, including my own humanness, was affecting them, and being able to really be honest and truth tell about my own life and how that was disturbing these incredible ancient ecosystems. And in that relationship build, there was one point that I was at the confluence of a creek and a river that both are in the redwoods. They're salmon bearing, just gorgeous. And the light was coming in through the alders, and it was like the idea came back quick. It was a voice from the forest, the 1 Million Redwoods Project. And I was kind of taken back, like, well, wait, what? Wait, who said that? What does that mean? And I heard, you need to plant our children, our grandchildren. You need to do this work. You need to have a native species nursery. And the ideas just kept popping up, and I was really surprised and excited. And so for the last 5 years, I've been deeply learning and engaged with the development of how to do this in the most reciprocal way. And it's really challenging to do it in that way, because the way that this global system is set up is basically anything that we want to do, it takes away from something else. And ethical, environmental, eco-friendly ways of doing things, it's not the mainstream. And it's actually a lot harder to figure out what those are. But that's also the excitement. It's also this idea that creativity is the antidote to destruction. And I believe that through observation and real relationship building, we can find the fissures through this global system to find ways of working with the forest that is in more reciprocity. Not to say that it'll ever be perfect, not to say that humans won't have negative impacts even with the best of intentions. But I really think that we need to start challenging the way large-scale reforestation happens, because I do believe that it's just adding to the dishealth of the forest.
Okay, so then what you've shown there is so beautiful. My last question is, what would you say to the next generation coming up, what their needs are, what they need to be calling in for themselves?
Oh, goodness. Well, I think we have a really long road ahead. And as much as I wish I could sit here and sugarcoat and make everybody feel warm and gooey inside, I think we are in a real time of loneliness. We're in the Anthropocene. We're losing 200 species a day. I spent the last 2 months in Alaska supporting a campaign to end old growth logging in the Tongass National Forest. And I was witnessing the rapid melting of glaciers. And I was witnessing the collapse of the last intact salmon runs on the Pacific Ocean. And the fact that this is happening in these last intact places, and as a globe, we are really doing basically nothing to stop the destruction of our planet, of all creatures and biodiversity. It was just yet another wake-up call that this is going to be a deep time, long battle, for better words, for lack of better words. And so I want to tell the next generation that breathe, and this is not going to end in my lifetime, and it's not going to end in theirs. And we really need to be committed, and we need to be committed for the long haul, and watch out for burnout, and watch out for things that can try to derail us or distract us, whether that's social media or human condition drama. None of that really matters when we actually look at what we're losing. And how can we focus our energy and our attention and our love to the earth, to what actually sustains life itself, and not get so wrapped up in this conditioned distraction that's not on accident. It's not on accident why most people aren't waking up to the realities of our time. So how can we be these strong, resilient warriors? And I absolutely believe that we can. I think it just takes a lot of focus and commitment and dedication, and really getting outside of ourselves and our own ego, and realizing that perhaps our lives aren't for just us, that our lives, that the reason we were brought to this earth was to be in service of something so much greater than our own little lives. And how beautiful that is, and how expansive and fulfilling it is when we can get outside of just ourselves and dedicate ourselves and be a conduit for life. And that's what I really want to share with people, that it's going to be a long haul. There's going to be a lot of grief and a lot of saying goodbye to loved ones. And I'm speaking of the non-humans as well. And to hold each other in community, and to care for one another, and to not be divisive, especially with other earth tenders. We need everyone, and we need to be in relationship. Doesn't mean we need to be in close relationship with everybody, but we really need each other. So how can we also heal our relationship with other humans as we stand linked arms moving forward, fighting and defending life?
Searching for you, na 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 na. No one but you, na 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 na. The things I put you through, na 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 na. It's always been you.